Dean Martin heard piano music coming from the empty Las Vegas rehearsal studio at midnight and discovered a man teaching his son a song they both thought would heal 5 years of silence between them, proving that sometimes the most powerful conversations happen not through words, but through melodies that speak directly to hearts that have been too hurt to listen any other way. It was Saturday night, December 15th, 1973, and Dean Martin was leaving his dressing room at the Sands Hotel after his final show of a successful weekend engagement. The casino was still buzzing with activity, but the entertainment areas of the hotel had quieted down as the evening's performances concluded and most guests moved to the gaming floors or their rooms. Dean was walking through the backstage corridors toward the employee parking garage when he heard the faint sound of piano music coming from one of the hotel's rehearsal studios. The melody was familiar. Someone was playing That's Amore, but slowly and hesitantly, as if they were still learning the song or trying to perfect a particular passage. Dean's curiosity was aroused because the rehearsal studios were supposed to be locked after 10 p.m., and no musical acts were scheduled to practice that evening. Dean followed the sound down a hallway that led to the smaller rehearsal rooms used by lounge acts and backup musicians. The music was coming from Studio C, and through the small window in the door, Dean could see a man in his 40s sitting at the piano with a boy who appeared to be about 12 years old. The man was patiently showing the boy how to play the chord progression for That's Amore, and the boy was concentrating intensely on getting the fingering correct. What struck Dean was the careful, almost formal interaction between the man and the boy. There was no casual conversation or laughter between them, just focused attention on the music and polite, measured communication that suggested they didn't know each other very well, despite their apparent family resemblance. Dean knocked gently on the studio door, and both the man and boy looked up with expressions of surprise and concern. The man quickly stood up from the piano bench, clearly worried about being discovered in a space where they might not belong. Dean opened the door and stepped into the room with a friendly smile. "Don't worry, I'm not security," he said. "I'm Dean Martin. I heard the music and wanted to see who was working so late on one of my songs." The man's face showed immediate recognition and embarrassment. "Mr. Martin, I'm so sorry. I know we're not supposed to be here, but I couldn't find anywhere else to. We were just trying to." Dean held up his hand to indicate that the man didn't need to explain or apologize. "It's fine. You're not causing any trouble. I'm just curious about what brings a father and son to practice piano at midnight." The man's expression became sad and somewhat embarrassed. "My name is Robert Chen," he said. "This is my son, Tommy. We're trying to learn a song together." Dean looked at Tommy, who was sitting quietly at the piano and avoiding eye contact with both his father and Dean. There was something in the boy's posture and demeanor that suggested he wasn't entirely comfortable with the situation, despite his obvious effort to cooperate with the music lesson. "Tommy's a good student," Dean observed. "He's got the chord progression down pretty well. Have you two been practicing together long?" Robert's answer revealed the complicated nature of their relationship. "Actually, this is only our third lesson together. Tommy lives with his mother, and I only see him every other weekend. We've been trying to find something we could do together that might help us connect better." Dean understood immediately that he was witnessing a divorced father's attempt to rebuild a relationship with his son through shared musical experiences. The formal politeness between Robert and Tommy, combined with the boys' careful but distant cooperation, suggested that their relationship was strained, and that Robert was working hard to bridge a gap that had developed between them. "Music is a great way to connect," Dean said, sitting down in a chair near the piano. "Mind if I listen for a minute? I always enjoy hearing people work on my songs." Robert looked nervous about performing in front of a professional entertainer, but Tommy seemed intrigued by Dean's presence and nodded his agreement to continue their practice session. As Robert and Tommy resumed their lesson, Dean observed the dynamics of their interaction more closely. Robert was patient and encouraging, but there was an underlying tension that suggested he was trying very hard to be the kind of father he thought Tommy needed, rather than simply being himself. Tommy was polite and cooperative, but his responses were measured and careful, as if he was fulfilling an obligation rather than enjoying a shared activity. After they finished playing through That's Amore together, Dean applauded and complimented their progress. "You two sound good together," he said. "How did you decide to learn that particular song?" Robert's answer revealed more about their situation. Tommy mentioned that he liked the song when he heard it on the radio, and I thought it might be something fun we could learn together. I've been taking piano lessons myself, so I could teach him. Dean was impressed by Robert's dedication and effort, but he could also see that their approach to the music was somewhat mechanical, and that the emotional connection he associated with family musical experiences wasn't quite developing between them. Dean decided to spend some time with Robert and Tommy to see if he could help them find a more natural and enjoyable way to connect through music. Over the next hour, Dean shared stories about learning to sing as a child, talked about the importance of having fun with music rather than focusing only on technical perfection, and encouraged Tommy to ask questions and express his own musical preferences. Gradually, Tommy began to relax and participate more actively in their conversation. He asked Dean about performing on stage, wondered about learning other instruments, and even requested that Dean sing a few bars of That's Amore, so he could hear how the song was supposed to sound when performed professionally. As Dean sang, he noticed that both Robert and Tommy became more animated and engaged. The music created a shared focus that allowed them to forget about the awkwardness of their relationship and simply enjoy a moment of connection through something they both found interesting and beautiful. When Dean finished singing, Tommy surprised everyone by asking if he could try singing along while playing the piano. This was the first time during the evening that Tommy had initiated an activity rather than simply responding to his father's suggestions. Robert encouraged Tommy's request, and Dean offered to help him with the timing and phrasing. As Tommy sang and played, Dean could see Robert's face light up with genuine pride and joy at seeing his son express himself confidently and creatively. After Tommy's performance, Dean had a better understanding of the challenges Robert and Tommy were facing and the potential for music to help them develop a stronger relationship. During a break in their practice, Dean asked Robert about his background and learned that Robert worked as an accountant and had little musical experience before beginning piano lessons 6 months earlier. Robert explained that he had started learning piano specifically as a way to connect with Tommy, who had shown interest in music but had been resistant to most of Robert's attempts to find shared activities they could enjoy together. Robert also revealed that he and Tommy's mother had divorced 3 years earlier, and that Tommy had struggled with the separation and changes in his family situation. Tommy had become more withdrawn and less communicative with Robert, and their weekend visits had become increasingly strained as Robert tried various approaches to rebuild their connection. "I know Tommy doesn't trust me completely yet," Robert admitted. "I made some mistakes during the divorce, and I'm trying to prove to him that I'm committed to being a better father. Music seemed like something positive we could build together." Dean was moved by Robert's honesty and his obvious love for his son. He was also impressed by Robert's willingness to learn an entirely new skill in order to connect with Tommy in a way that might appeal to the boy's interests and talents. Dean offered to give Robert and Tommy some informal coaching to help them develop both their musical skills and their ability to use music as a bridge for emotional connection. Over the next several weeks, Dean met with them periodically during his Las Vegas engagements, providing guidance on song selection, performance techniques, and most importantly, how to have fun together while making music. Dean suggested that instead of focusing only on technical accuracy, Robert and Tommy should choose songs that had personal meaning for them and should feel free to modify arrangements to suit their skill level and preferences. He also encouraged them to talk about what they liked about different songs and to share musical memories and associations that might help them understand each other better. Under Dean's guidance, Robert and Tommy gradually developed a more relaxed and enjoyable approach to their musical collaboration. They expanded their repertoire beyond That's Amore to include songs that Tommy particularly enjoyed, and they began experimenting with simple harmonies and arrangements that allowed both of them to contribute to their performances. More importantly, their musical sessions became opportunities for conversation and connection that extended beyond the songs themselves. As they worked on learning new pieces together, Robert and Tommy began talking about school, friends, interests, and feelings in ways that had been difficult for them to achieve through other activities. Dean observed that Tommy became more animated and communicative when he was engaged with music, and that Robert seemed more natural and less anxious when they were focused on a shared creative project, rather than trying to force conversation or connection. The breakthrough in their relationship came during their preparation for a Christmas performance that Dean had suggested they plan for Tommy's mother and extended family. Dean proposed that Robert and Tommy work together to create a short concert that would showcase their musical progress while also demonstrating the positive changes in their relationship. As they prepared for this performance, Robert and Tommy spent more time together than they had since the divorce, practicing songs, discussing arrangements, and planning the details of their presentation. The shared goal of creating something meaningful for their family gave them a focus that allowed them to work as a team, rather than as a father trying to impress a reluctant child. Their Christmas concert was a success that exceeded everyone's expectations, including their own. Robert and Tommy performed 3 songs together, with Tommy singing lead on 2 pieces, while Robert provided piano accompaniment, and both of them singing harmony on That's Amore, which had become their signature song. But more meaningful than the quality of their performance was the obvious joy and connection that Robert and Tommy displayed while making music together. Their family members could see that something fundamental had changed in their relationship, and that they had found a way to communicate and bond that worked for both of them. After the concert, Tommy told his mother that he wanted to continue taking piano lessons and that he enjoyed spending time with his father when they were working on music together. Robert reported that their weekend visits had become much more natural and enjoyable, with music providing a foundation for other activities and conversations. Dean continued to mentor Robert and Tommy occasionally over the following months, but they had developed enough confidence and skill to pursue their musical collaboration independently. Robert enrolled in more advanced piano lessons, and Tommy began taking voice lessons to develop his singing abilities further. A year later, Robert and Tommy performed at a local talent show, winning second place in the father-son division with their rendition of Fly Me to the Moon, a song they had learned specifically to honor Dean's influence on their relationship. Their success at the talent show led to occasional performances at community events and family gatherings, but more importantly, music had become a permanent part of their relationship and a source of ongoing connection that enriched their time together. Dean remained in touch with Robert and Tommy through occasional letters and phone calls, and he was pleased to learn that their musical collaboration had strengthened their overall relationship and helped them develop the trust and communication that had been missing after the divorce. Years later, when Tommy graduated from high school, he wrote Dean a letter thanking him for helping his father find a way to connect with him during a difficult time in their family's history. Tommy explained that learning music together had taught him that his father was willing to work hard to rebuild their relationship, and that some of his happiest memories with his dad involved their practice sessions and performances. The story of Robert and Tommy Chen became one of Dean's favorite examples of how music could serve as a bridge between people who were struggling to connect. And he often encouraged other parents to consider musical collaboration as a way to strengthen their relationships with their children. If this story of healing family relationships through music moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with any parent who is working to rebuild trust and connection with their children, or anyone who needs to know that sometimes the most important conversations happen not through words, but through melodies that speak directly to our hearts. Have you ever used music to connect with someone you love? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible stories about the healing power of music and the lengths parents will go to rebuild relationships with their children.